Hi, this is Jackie Hall here with Real People's Media, and I'm interviewing Kawenniiosta Jock from Akwesasne today, and she's going to be discussing some recent events that have taken place in Akwesasne regarding the Canadian Border Services Agency that's located just outside of Akwesasne on the, I believe it's called the North Shore, which is technically still a part of our territory. But anyway, she's going to talk about her recent experiences with the CBSA. Hi, Kawenniiosta. Can you introduce yourself?
Sego Sewakwego, Kawenniiosta Jock sa Wagatahliuni, Onalekoa, Gate de la Tage, Tara Kanyagahaga ni Makohanjodo, Kuzasne Nuet Nidewakeno. My name is Kawenniiosta. I am from Akwesasne. I am of Clan. I live in Kawenniioge, which is on the Ontario side of the imaginary line that everybody wants to recognize. There's a majority of us who are still connected to our lands, and we don't live by everybody else's beliefs or ways. When I leave my home every single day, regardless if I want to go get groceries or I want to go see my grandmother, my parents, my family, my friends, I have to drive over a bridge and go through the US Customs. So basically, I have to get permission to leave my home. And then when I want to come back home, I have to drive over another bridge to CBSA, which is the Canadian Border Service Agency, and I have to get permission from them just to come back home. So for us living in Kawenniioge, we're not free, and it's like day after day of living like that, it really plays a huge toll on our mentality in our community. For myself, I really try to stay true to myself, what I believe in, being Ungwehue, staying original. I have 5 children, and it's really important for me to raise them the way I was raised, the best way that I can do that. And my grandmother, Kalumhianolo, Aunt Jock, she always taught us as little kids that as Ungwehue, we're always living. And it's not about progress, it's about living. And so she always told us about our, having a band number and a tribal number. And because where we are, we have like 3 forms of government, right? We have the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, we have the St. Regis Mohawk tribe, and the one I choose to recognize is our nation, Kanyagahaga. And so my children only have red cards. They don't have band cards. They don't have tribal ID. And I always said that, well, I was taught because my parents did this for me. They gave me a choice, and I'm giving that choice to my kids. When they turn 18, they can decide if they want to be a band council member, or if they want to be a tribal council member, or if they want to stay original and stay in Wahua and still have their ties and their say and their voice. It's really important that I keep teaching them about why it's so important. We lose our voice when we become band council members and tribal members, and it's really hard to deal with that when important issues arise. And so having to go through customs on a daily basis. And it's like every so often a new group of agents come in, and it's like we have to fight all over again. I have to fight with them for months until they back off, and then we're good. We can travel free. We can travel with no harassment, no nothing. And then next thing you know, a new group comes in, and then I have to start all over. So I've been fighting with them for 7 years now, and my most recent occurrence was on February 8th, and it's a new guy. I came through, and he wanted to know where our INAC cards are, and I have a license, a driver's license, and that's what I give him. I give him our red cards, our J treaty cards for my kids, and he asks, where's their red card or where's their INAC cards? And I said, my kids don't need an INAC card to be in Wahoo. And he says, excuse me? What was that? Or he said something like that. I haven't watched the video. But he says, he tried to tell me that they needed it. And I said, no, they do not need it. They don't need an INAC card to be in Wahoo. They don't need an INAC card to live on their land. They're still connected to their land. Those are the things that, we have to fight every single day. And it's exhausting. It's traumatizing. It's dehumanizing. It's a really awful feeling. And there's a lot of aspects that come into play when we're dealing with these agents here. Post-traumatic stress disorder, I don't know, just anything to do with that. Like all those kinds of emotions come up all the time. Just you get anxiety just rolling up.
Do you believe that there are a lot of other people like you that have to deal with the same issue when they go through the border with the red cards?
Yes, because there's a good group of us who still are connected to our ways, still follow our ceremonies, still give our thanks, still, live this life, and they have to deal with that too. They have children. It's a hassle for them. They want to send us into immigration.
Can you explain a little bit about what the red cards are?
So the red card are the J treaty cards. It's like a tax exempt. They have tax exempt number on there. It has our names and our clans, and as far as I know, the majority of the Confederacy has those cards. And then on the back, it just says that we have a right to travel freely. We have rights to hunting and fishing. It even has on there the J Treaty and what that is. It explains a lot in just that card. It has our date of birth. It has our picture. It's our form of ID, and I've had one for a very long time now. So
going back to the experiences that you have holding the red card and going through CBSA, do you find your experience is the same going through the American border with that red card?
I had to put up only a little fight with them. It wasn't as bad as CBSA, because CBSA is like, we do not accept these, and that's it. And I've told CBSA that the Crown even accepts this red card, and yous are choosing not to. That's all. It's not that yous don't, you just choose not to. They don't believe me in that. And then with the US Customs, I've never really had a problem with them, with that form of ID.
So has that always been consistent throughout the years? Because you said you've been dealing with it for 7 years. So is that because of when the border was removed from the island? Is that when the 7 years is coming from?
No, it's just how long I've lived in Kawenniiosta, that's all.
Okay.
So like I wasn't coming through as much before because I lived somewhere else. So
You think that people that live on Kawenniiosta are more, I don't even know what the word for it is. They deal with the systemic racism almost daily whenever other people in Akwesasne don't. They kind of have a choice on whether or not they're going to cross that border because they can go to Messina to go get their necessities. And then you got people in Kawenniiosta who have no choice but to go through customs if they want to leave the island. So it's like when they want to leave their home, like you said, they're subject to all this harassment and systemic racism every time they leave home. And I think it's like you're exposed to it more in the last 7 years. So I guess what I'm asking is, has it been consistent throughout the years living on Kawenniiosta, going through customs daily, if the treatment on the American side has always been accepting of the red cards throughout the 7 years, and the Canadian side has not accepted it throughout the 7 years? Has it always been like that?
it's always been like that. And then every time a new group of agents come in, it's like I have to start all over, right? Because I've
Mhm.
already argued so much with them, and I get to a point where they don't really bother me anymore,
Yeah.
and they know that I'm not gonna go and get a INAT card, and then a new group comes in, and then I get those ones who are right. They follow the book, and it's like, well, we don't accept these, and I just tell them like take it or leave it, because that's what you're gonna get. Like I'm not. It's not my choice. It's not my choice to go and get my kids band numbers or tribal cards. They're their own person and their own individual. And when they're old enough, they can decide what they want to do with themselves. But for right now, as their mother, it's my responsibility to uphold that as their mother.
Yeah. So you mentioned that they tried to send you to immigration before. And
Yeah, just on February 8th when I came through. I came through at 1 in the morning. I had taken my kids to my parents' house, and my 2-year-old was having a hard time sleeping. So it was like going on. It was 12:30, and he wouldn't sleep. He was crying a lot. So I said, "Man, we should just go home. He just wants to go home. You know, he was trying to put his boots on and his jacket." So I said, "It'll be easier. We'll just go home and we'll come back tomorrow morning." And my other kids got up and they said that they wanted to come, so we packed up and we headed home. And when we got to the customs, he said, "Where's their INAT cards?" And I'm like, "Really? You know, um, we're tired. We just want to go home. Here's their ID. You know, you've seen us before. We come through here every single day. We come through here." And I'm like, he says, it's not an excuse. Um, because I didn't start filming right away. So when I had first pulled up, that was the conversation, and he told me that it wasn't an excuse. And I said, "Well, what do you expect me to do? Like, I can't go tomorrow and get a band number with all of this going on, even if I wanted to, you know, like." And then he says, "I'm gonna have to send you in for immigration." And he shut his window, and I was out there for about 20 minutes, and that's when I started filming. And I had to go live. It's like you never know what to expect going through there. And I always have to go live because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen to my kids. It's a different person every time you go through. It's a different like reaction. Some of them just let us through. Some of them are really hard on us and give us a hard time for no reason. I go through with the same 5 kids every day. Like I rarely have anybody different in my vehicle, and um, I've seen that guy like probably 50 times now, and he knows us by now. He's been there long enough. And so I went live. It's 1 a.m. Everybody's in their homes. We're supposed to be staying in our homes now with this coronavirus going on, and so I didn't really know who to call. I didn't want to wake nobody up. I didn't want to bother anyone, so I just went live just for my own safety, for my own documentation, and that's just something that I have to do now every time I go through, because you never know what's going to happen.
So with you said February 8th, but it sounds like you're talking about the incident that happened like 2 days ago, correct?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. So February 8th was the first occurrence where he wanted to know why my kids didn't have INET cards, and that was the conversation I had with him about not getting my kids INET cards and them not needing INET cards to live on their own lands in their own territory. And then this March 28th was just this past Friday morning that
Yeah, and what's changed between the first incident is this was pre-coronavirus, before they shut down the borders completely. So I guess what changed in between your two incidences is the fact that now that the borders closed, we're like the only group of people that are allowed to cross the border right now. And
yeah.
what they're trying to say is that we need to have INAT cards to cross this border. So whenever you got there 2 nights ago, I just wanted to explain that a little, where that officer was coming from now, like using that as an excuse to give you problems. Like you said, he's seen you 50 times before and he knows you. But now with the border being shut down, it's like a heightened level of anxiety for people. Would you agree, for people that live on Kawenniiosta?
Yeah, it is. It's like you get traumatized all over again, just pulling up, your heart starts beating and your legs start shaking, and it's like it's a threat. It's a threat to your children, and that's the worst thing you can do to a mother, especially somebody who is alone with her kids and traveling alone with her kids, at 1 a.m.
Yeah. So this is what they would say unprecedented, because there hasn't been a precedent set for an incident, for a pandemic, to close down the border, and how it's going to affect Akwesasne. And you know how Band Council talked with the customs to make sure that they would let our people through. So I'm concerned that they didn't discuss the fact that there's a group of people that only hold red cards. And then you have a group of people that choose not to even hold cards and not register their children. So how are these people going to be treated at customs? And it's been shown by how you were treated that night what we can expect.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, or
No, but I think that, our Akwesasne Mohawk police should have somebody stationed there at CBSA on our account, on the community's account,
yeah,
somebody there for when these instances happen, at least somebody on our side, because it's like one person in the vehicle against all of them,
yeah. So I think where we're headed with this is possibly trying to find some kind of solution, because whenever you run out of groceries, where are you going to go get food?
Yeah.
Even if you want to stay home, you can't. And something needs to be figured out so that our woman, you with your children, should be feeling safe enough to leave your home and to go get the bare necessities you need to survive. You shouldn't feel triggered and stressed to just travel to buy food and buy toilet paper and not know what's around the corner when you leave the island. I really think this needs to be addressed.
It definitely does, because the other thing that I forgot to mention was that like somebody had told me, like, well, why didn't you just drop your kids off first and then go report? And what they do over here is they have cameras set up on both bridges, the US bridge and the Canadian bridge, and they keep track of the cars going over the bridges. And if you don't report, they seize your vehicle and they charge you $1,000. So it's like we don't have a choice. We have to report. We
Yeah.
can't stop.
So I think that could be a whole other interview in itself, talking about the whole them taking our belongings from us because we're not following foreign law, like
Yeah.
what did they say? Only an Indian can deprive another Indian. So
Yeah,
whenever,
according to their laws.
yeah, so